Usually, well, you're here.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Do it.
Hey, we are live.
We're live. Can you hear me? Hello, everybody. Internets, are you there? Internets. Gosh, the internet is a fickle mistress. I did want to congratulate everybody. Nostradamus, thank you, 5x5. I freaking need you this morning, bro. It's been like that. Jupiter Mojo, thank you. I do want to congratulate everybody in the Bear Nation because somewhere in between 11 p.m. last night and 9 a.m. this morning, we hit 200,000 subscribers.
We did it. We did it. We did it. Yay. We did it.
Is that the song from Dora?
You know what? I think
Is
that's
that
where
Dora?
I got it from. Yeah.
She's an explorer, I heard. Yeah, she's also a communist, but whatever.
That's true. But she does carry a map.
Can she use the map?
It seems to work.
Do not let Saw know that Dora carries a map. Gosh, I would pay so much money to see Saw roast Dora. I got $1,000 on this. If anybody else wants to make it happen, I'm all the way in. Good morning, everybody. It is the 12th of April, 2024, and we're going to do a little bit of a brief. We're going to look at the national intel. National intel is sent in by y'all to the email address. It's very complicated. Intel @ you know, the A with the little circly thing around it. Intel @bearindependent.com. I know, I get all the time. People will email admin and be like, I forgot the Intel address. What is it? Intel @bearindependent.com. Yeah. Good morning, Matt Kell. Shalom, everybody. Earthquakes in Oklahoma. Not that I'm aware of. Listen, guys, read Matthew 24. There will be famine and plague and disease, and nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be earthquakes in diverse places. Also, we're totally shooting from the hip this morning. I managed to sleep 10 hours last night, somehow, like, inexplicably, like a dead man. And I feel like I got about 45 minutes of sleep. And it just occurred to me that my typical preload of nicotine pouches is about half of what it normally is for a brief. So we're gonna see. Oh yeah,
didn't you just get a delivery?
Bro, I know. Yes, I did. I did just get a delivery. The problem is the delivery made it from the office to the truck, but it hasn't made it from the truck to the house yet. And there's this thing about when you have a brand new person in your life, your morning routine goes to shit. And so my morning routines for the last 40-ish days have just been... And now some people, entrepreneurs, that's the word I'm looking for here. A lot of people make an idol out of their morning routine where they spend like 30 minutes in their gratitude journal, and then they do 20 minutes of like Eastern meditation, and then they do their positive affirmation stretches, and then they go outside and they eat the sun for 14 minutes exactly, and then they do a cold plunge, and now they're ready to do business and face the world, and it's like, that shit's gay. What I mean morning routine is like, I'd like get out of bed, piss, brush teeth, maybe step on the scale if I remember to do that, put clothes on, go downstairs, walk to coffee pot, stand at coffee pot, watch coffee be made, put coffee in face, and then like take my like vitamins and my supplements and like, oh, hi wife, I love you. Chris Willis, audio is weak, closer to mic. No, this is the audio we got. Turn your volume up. This is what we're going with today. This is what we got. Typically I use an external microphone. I can't today because my phone's plugged into a battery because it was on 3% this morning. So we're going to do the best we can with what we got where we're at. If you got a problem with that, turn it up or leave. That's where we are today. All right? Today's not going to be a great day for criticism, just so we're all on the same page. So anyway, morning routine has been all jacked up. Nicotine is half of what it should be, typically. Bear, you shouldn't do any nicotine at all. It's bad for you. Actually, there's lots of studies that say it's not. It's the tobacco that's bad for you. The nicotine is a nootropic, which makes your brain fire on more cylinders than usual. So let me go ahead and fix that problem right now.
Yeah, and if you smoke cigarettes, all the 500,000 chemicals that they put in there, plus some, what animal piss is in there? It's some type of animal piss they
Urea?
put,
Yeah.
in cigarettes to have flavor.
Is that Newports? Newports have animal piss?
No,
in
that
them?
what is this one in Newport? I don't know.
There's menthol in
Menthol,
Newports.
yes. It gives you that minty flavor.
Yeah, why?
Refreshing.
I don't know. The goth kids, when I was growing up, always smoked those Dejarum Blacks.
Ooh.
Yeah, clove cigarettes, which were like 3 times as expensive as regular cigarettes, so they were always like a treat. Anyway, Bear Independent Brief. Hey, we hit 200,000 subscribers. Also, here's 6 minutes of bullshit intro. Bear Independent Brief, 12 April 2024. Also, we have to make this Saw Roast Dora's map reading skills thing happen. We have to. 2 huge dollar chains in the United States have experienced serious financial setbacks. Now, about 1,000 Family Dollar locations will be closing down. And the 99 cents only store has said that it will be going out of business entirely. That's probably an economic indicator. When the dollar store goes out of business, I'm just saying, probably an economic indicator.
Now, will it be just that one, or will it be the combo ones?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
That's a big question. And I heard they're raising their prices.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah, so now it's like, it's not just the 99 cents only store, but they're going out of business entirely.
Yeah.
The dollar store is closing, or Family Dollar rather, is closing 1,000 locations. The economic impacts include the loss of thousands of jobs, increased unemployment rates. That's what the socialists want. This is intentional. They want to do this. They are happy about this. Remember when they preach about how well Bidenomics is working, it's because this is what they want to happen. This is what they want to happen. They want to intentionally wreck the economy in the United States of America. COVID was an attempt to do that, and it worked pretty damn good. Biden is an idiot, but the reason Biden was, air quote, elected most popular president in the history of the country, 81 million votes, was so that he would serve as the perfect patsy, the perfect fall guy for normies to be able to say, well, he's just making all these stupid calls, and we can blame it on the fact that we got an 80-plus-year-old pedophile in the White House. No, it's intentional. This is all intentional. They want to do this. Okay, so Bidenomics is working great for them. This is what they want. Let's see. Increased unemployment rates in affected areas and reduced consumer options, especially for lower income households. Of course, there are impacts throughout the supply chain too, as commercial real estate is left vacant, which, by the way, the commercial real estate bubble is probably going to burst sometime within the next 12 months, according to myriad analysts. I saw there was a building in, where the heck was it? Big building somewhere. There's an article on this in like some second tier city, like Cincinnati or something like that. And you call my city second tier? Yeah, Cincinnati's not Dallas. It's not New York City. It's not LA. It's not Miami. But there's some building like that 4 years ago sold for $500 million and just resold, I think, for $67 million. Nobody's interested. Nobody wants it. So, but I digress. Additionally, there are tax implications as tax revenue for what are most likely lower income areas is reduced further in the absence of these businesses. Both Family Dollar and the 99 cents only stores have stated that inflation and shoplifting have factored into their downfall. So is this just another indicator that the lower income strata of American households have been squeezed beyond what they can bear? Actually, no. It appears that both companies have struggled due to management issues. Family Dollar has floundered since being acquired by Dollar Tree in 2015, and 99 cents only has struggled due to inefficiency. Former top executive from Dollar General, David D'Arezzo, said of the latter chain, quote, "They have never had the right business model. They were never going to get there," end quote. Now here's the thing though. In solid economies, mediocre businesses can continue to operate because the cash flow is there, because the revenue is there. One of the blessings in disguise, if you will, of this current economy, um, is that there's less expendable resources. Like we'll just talk about first aid kits, right? Like not a consumable item. How many people need 19 first aid kits? Not many, right? You got a couple. You know how to use them. Check. I'm good. All right. So what's the lifetime value of somebody buying first aid kits? Like two kits. Okay, cool. So your business model is constantly acquiring new customers, right? Because you don't have a consumable item, which is fine. It's not like I sell bread. If I sold bread, then I'd probably have recurring customers, right? Well, people in this industry, when the consumer base shrinks or the lifetime value of a customer shrinks necessarily because of inflation of the dollar, because everything costs more now, regardless of what the federal government will report. Costs are up 25 to 40% on things that matter. Of course, you're gonna buy bread instead of buying a first aid kit. Makes sense. But because we aren't leveraged in debt, because we own our companies and our inventory outright, we don't own the bank any money on the businesses, we can stay in business considerably longer in lean times than people who are heavily leveraged in debt. We also don't try and poach customers and products from other businesses. Shut up, medical. Oh shit. Did I say that shit out loud?
It's the smoke.
Oh yeah, it's the smoke.
It's the smoke.
It's the smoke. So we have the capacity to grind it out in a poor economy longer because we're not leveraged in debt and because we have high brand loyalty as compared to other companies that are going to necessarily fold because they don't have the operating capital to continue to trudge along even in a subpar economy. So in mediocre and good economies, bad businesses can flourish even if their model sucks. Good morning, it's turbo time. In bad economies, a lot of those mediocre businesses fall by the wayside because there's just not enough cash to operate inefficiently. Could you cough a little clearer, please? Chinook medical. Yeah. Some unnamed company is trying to buy our CLS bags to use for their products. Bro, call me. I'm easy to find. You want to do business, do business. Don't go behind my back like a scumbag. In fact, open invitation. Chinook Medical. Call me. Shoot me an email. Refuge Medical. That's our company. You want to do business? Let's do business. Don't try and steal my shit. Okay? Okay. And that's slander. Cool, take me to court. I got receipts. I would love to blast this shit all over the internet. All right, anyway, I digress. Still, the relative size of the loss is manageable enough for the current state of the economy. In a report issued on Thursday, data showed that state unemployment benefits dipped by 11,000 for the last week, which is lower than economists had forecasted. Job growth is accelerating, according to data from March. However, that data is questionable. It's mostly part-time jobs and government jobs. It's not full-time jobs. Okay? Hello, big dog. Come. Dad, there's smoke in my eyes. I know there is. Did you kill any bad guys last night? Oh, was that an Oklahoma earthquake? Did you hear that? All right, good job. Go lay down. Let's see. Deputy Chief U.S. Economist Michael Pierce with Oxford Economics in New York said, even though hiring growth is slowing, net payroll growth remains strong thanks to the low level of layoffs in the economy. Yeah, we're running out of people to lay off. And there's no sign from the claims data that the story is changing, end quote. Federal Reserve officials appear to be concerned that inflation is more persistent than they would like, so they seem hesitant to reduce rates just yet. According to the March meeting minutes, quote, participants noted indicators pointing to strong economic momentum and disappointing readings on inflation in recent months, and commented that they did not expect it would be appropriate to reduce the target range for the federal funds rate until they had gained greater confidence that inflation was moving sustainably towards 2%, end quote. In other words, the economy's not doing what they want to do, and so they can't lower the interest rates yet until inflation comes down. Or, I'm just throwing this out there, or we back the federal currency with something of value: sheep, firewood, chickens, eggs, gold, silver, bronze. Not copper, because the dope fiends are already stealing copper out of everybody's trailers anyway. So probably not copper. Um, something useful. 9mm ammunition. I don't know, like something. Also, thank you to the wind for changing. All the way smoked out right now. Be gone. Be gone. Be gone. With recent data showing that gas and rent costs have swelled, inflation is still just more than robust than expected. Analysts now expect that there will be no rate cuts until September. They were recently saying, within the last 60 days or so, that hopefully they were going to be able to cut rates in March. And then, no, they'll be able to cut rates in May. And now they're saying September. Okay. Here's another thing to understand with this: the cost of acquiring debt has gone up. And a lot of business models are predicated on acquiring debt for cash flow, because there's a stutter step between acquiring inventory and then turning that into revenue, right? Like, I have to pay for the inventory. Now I own the inventory. Oh, you can get terms from your supplier. Yeah, before 2019 you could, and this thing called COVID happened. So you pay for the inventory up front, it then gets shipped to you, and now sits in your location, hopefully less than 12 months, because if it sits in your location for 12 months or more, the federal government will tax you 3 times at 30% on it. Ask me how I know. And then you convert that inventory into revenue. Well, what do you do in between when I place the order for the inventory and when I made a sale? A lot of businesses don't have cash on hand for OPEX, operational expenses. And so they use revolving lines of credit, they take short-term loans, or they leverage other things like their house, commercial property, which is plummeting again, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, all that's debt. It's some form of debt. They acquire the debt in order to get the revenue to function in between when they place the order for the inventory and when they converted it into revenue. Well, the cost of debt has gone up significantly, which is changing the OPEX, the operational expenses of a lot of these businesses. And so there's been stagnant business growth in a lot of sectors because cheap money, cheap debt has gone away thanks to COVID. The flip side of that again is maybe operate without debt. Hopes that Tyson will shut Jake Paul up with a KO. Oh, bro, I cannot wait for that fight. R. Heath says, let's back the dollar with Refuge med kits. They're as good as gold. I appreciate that, R. Heath. I appreciate that. And I would be fine with that. I would basically then become the Federal Reserve. That'd be super cool. Could you imagine a righteous Federal Reserve? No, it's not possible, right? It's not possible. You see, you're not even supposed to count the Father's people. Each of the Father's people offers a half shekel per year in service to the temple, and then you count the half shekels, but you don't count the people. There's, at the end of King David's reign, he gets himself into a jam because he could foresee this split of the 12 tribes of Israel. He could foresee this split, which happened under his son Solomon, but he could see the split between the house of Judah and the house of Israel coming, the northern tribes and the southern tribes. And so he sent Joab, his general, out throughout the land to go count the people. 1 million. 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 Israel, 400,000 in the house of Judah. Didn't like it either, and so he didn't count everybody. I think in an attempt to give David some skewed data so that David would stay his hand if it came to war. And then the father comes to David and he says, "What are you doing?" New Living Bear translation. "What are you doing, homie? You're not supposed to count the people." David's like, "Yeah, I done effed up. My bad." And the father says, "Hey, you can have." What options did he give him? 3 years of famine, 3 months of war in the land, or 3 days of plague. And David said, "Let your will be done." Father says, "Roger that." 3 days of plague. And so 3 days of plague, the messenger of Elohim, capital M messenger of Elohim, goes throughout the land and kills 70,000 of the men of Judah in 3 days. And then David, through prayer and supplication, beseeches the Father, and the 3 days are ended. You're not allowed to number the people. You're definitely not allowed to number the people in exchange or in support of a currency. You can't do that. But, let's just gloss over the fact we've all got social security numbers, and the only thing federal about the Federal Reserve is the fact that it says federal in the name, and the dollar hasn't been backed by anything other than potentially oil and or the might of the U.S. military for 50, 60, 70 years. And here we are. We wonder why the economy is a shit show. Oh, and all of our representatives in D.C., they're super trustworthy people who have our best interests at heart, who somehow get paid $160,000 a year and have net worths measured in the tens to hundreds of millions of dollars. But there's no insider trading going on here. Good times. Should we do the national intel? Do the national intel, Bear. Okay, guys. Bear Independent bonus intel.
Dun, dun.
Bum, bum, bum. Yeah. Bear any interest in holding a baptism for followers? That's an interesting question. I really try not to say no when people say I want to get baptized. Also, on the one hand, I think, why do you need me to baptize you? And then on the other hand, we just held the Refuge ruckus, which was not intended to be a revival. It was intended to raise funds and awareness for Caleb House. And yeah, it doesn't matter what our intentions are. It matters what the Father's intentions are, because the Father just showed off for 3 days at the Refuge ruckus and 42 people got baptized. And one of the guys on the board at Caleb House, all right, smoke be gone. One of the guys on the board at Caleb House said, "Hey, I think we should bring a baptismal just in case somebody wants to get baptized." And I was like, "That's a great idea. If one person wants to get baptized, it's a win." 42 people got baptized at the ruckus. And so this is not hyperbole. When we plan Bear Independent / Refuge / Caleb House / Grindstone events, one of the planning considerations has become, is there a body of water nearby? Because we know it's just a matter of time before somebody's getting in the water. So I've never intended to hold an event specifically for baptisms, but I'm having a hard time remembering an event that we did, including grindstone deployments, where somebody, at least one person, didn't get baptized. When's the Camden, Tennessee revival happening? I got to coordinate with John on that. We should be using Sully's church. Yeah, and so I should text John about that. Make a note to myself on the Palm Pilot 1.0. SOE revival. Boom, got it. It's right there. See? So, yeah, where's the water has become a consideration in our planning, which is awesome. Praise the Father, right? And I think there's a certain beauty about that approach, where I'm not setting up a tent and calling people to revival and trying to coerce anybody to get in the water. we're showing up and doing what the Father told us to do, and obedience brings blessings. And so when we do that and when y'all do that, the Spirit moves and people are convicted then to get in the water. In Rolling Fork, Mississippi, our fob was in Leland, and my brother Buckets and Bibles found a big blue tote thing on the side of the building and hooked up a garden hose and filled it up with water. And I knew immediately what he was doing. And people looked at that thing full of water for a couple of days. And then Shabbat rolled around. And in the afternoon of Shabbat, I don't remember how many people we put into that water, but it was not an insignificant number. Guys, I have got to get out of this smoke. I am 100% preserved. You guys go there a minute. Go there. Here, look at my Raptors. Best show on the internet. Best rafters, anyway. Okay, so now you're going to blow over here, wind? This is how it's going to be? Maybe we'll just do it like this. Okay, so now it's light and variable. That's great. It's good stuff. Stand by. Where do I want to go?
I don't know. I think this might be the best spot.
Try this. And also, we can get a little bit more heat on this sucker. Get a little bit less smoke. So we'll poke it with a stick so it's actually burning.
Yep. Get all the hydration
This
out.
is my pokey stick. It's an old garden hoe that somebody made. It's a piece of metal pipe with a piece of rebar stuck into it that's been bent that has a piece of plate steel that somebody shaped into the shape of a hoe. And this was leaning up against the wall in the barn when we got here. And she's a great hoe, man. She's a great hoe. We use it for poking fires around here. Man, that's way better. There you go.
But look at where the smoke is going now.
Yeah, I know. I could have just stayed where I was. Best show on the internet, guys. The production value is amazing around here. All right, let's try this again. Ba-da-ba-da, ba-da-ba-da, ba-da-ba-da. I need the Price is Right hold music. Okay, let's try again. That looks slightly better. Once upon a time, I had another telephone. Barry, your production quality's terrible. Uh-huh. Yep. Good thing you paid a shit ton of money to be here, right? Bear Independent Bonus Intel. I'm a truck driver of 17 years. That's right, I started a year before the worst economic collapse in my lifetime, and I dare to say most people's lives a lifetime. And I drive for the world's largest delivery service. Not the brown trucks, we're bigger than they are. It's not Swift, is it?
Oh, and he's still on the road if he drove for Swift?
For 17 years?
Oh, man.
Bro. Listen, Wind, cooperate. Let's see. Over the past 3 years or so, I've witnessed our peak season go from an actual increase to what turned out to be just another normal 6 weeks of freight volume. Now, this past year, our company saw a 2.5% increase of freight year over year during peak. With freight volume overall being down about 3 to 5%, our peak season turned out to be just a normal freight rate during the Trump era. With that said, when the inflation rate is at 8%, what the government is telling us, I believe it's higher, and groceries and prices in general are up 5.25%, 2.5% increase in freight during the busiest shopping season of the year is really not that much of an increase. Usually we see about an 8 to 10% increase. Now freight in general is down, and I went from working 4 to 5 days to working 3 to 4 days. Less days I work equals less freight being shipped. Less freight being shipped is a sign that the economy is really taking a nosedive. We keep being told projections are showing an increase, but last year is an indicator of this year will be worse. This time last year, we were still working 5 days. By the end of last summer, it really started to look dismal. It has remained dismal since. I feel it will remain this way or continue to spiral out of control until the election. A recent hike in gas prices would probably be an indicator of that. Wind? Smoke follows beauty. Smoke follows beauty, they say.
Hey, it's for effect.
Oh my
That's what it is.
Probably look like a pothead. My eyes are so red at this point. Ugh. For effect. Well, it's definitely affecting me. Oh well. I know several owner operators in this industry, and they are struggling to stay afloat in this economy, and some are saying worse now than ever. Low rates and high fuel prices are feeding the issue. No relief in sight. Remember, Hillary said we will pay for voting Trump into office. Anyway, I just wanted to drop you some intel on what people aren't ordering things unless they have to, and our freight is down hugely. Most trailers are being loaded with 20,000 pounds or less. A lot of times, it's a lot less. 20,000 pounds is less than half a load for most trailers, right? 48,000 is typically what you're going to get on like a van trailer. It depends on, the tractor that you've got pulling it. But I thought you gave up smoking. I did, Jupiter, but it didn't give up on me apparently. So, what I did was I took a massive break from smoking cigars because I was smoking a cigar a day. And it started occasionally, as a little celebratory thing, and then a cigar a day, and then a couple cigars a day, and then I had surgery, and I could not do anything during my recovery other than sit on my porch. So then that ballooned to like 4 cigars a day, and the next thing you know, I'm smoking 6 cigars a day, and I was like, this is terrible. So last Shavuot, hello?
My wife said buffering. She just sent the
Buffering, and now I'm back. Hello? Hello? Can you see me? Yep. 4x5. Thank you. Okay, we're back. Yeah, I guess you can't talk about Shavuot. I'm back. Thanks, Shelly G. Okay, let's go back to the freaking intel. Today at approximately 10:30 a.m., Friday, April the 5th, an earthquake shook my whole state. I'm in Andover, New Jersey, closer to Pennsylvania in Sussex County. I know Sussex County, in the mountain region of the state, and the quake lasted a good solid minute, maybe 2. Never have I felt anything like that here on the East Coast in my 31 years of life. Very scary having a 4.8 quake rock us. No warning, felt like my house had a CSX train blowing by at 70 miles an hour. The fault lines run through Sussex County, where I am, and stretches throughout the state. Very, very scary after the Taiwan quake, China, and the solar eclipse coming. We all survived the solar eclipse. My baby girl, Mrs., and the dog all got a little shook up from that one. However, my community seems to have no damage. More on the quake, another report. Let's see, everything's fine. Lasted 20 seconds. Next, smoke off.
We need you on a pivot.
That's
what we got to build out here, a pivot.
You know what we need? We need a dude with
the bellows.
The bellows would be cool, but I was thinking we got that DeWalt 20-volt leaf blower over there, just on low, just blowing it that way.
And I'll make a nice little.
Some background noise, some white noise, put everybody to sleep. That's cool. Yeah. Shut up, fire. Next, I was picking up ammunition from my local supplier earlier this year. This business is well known and one of the largest reloading supply companies in the United States. After but a small talk, the employee stated that come June, quote, it'll be hard to get anything, end quote, and was vague about why. I recall this interaction after hearing about the alleged incoming troop movement to the Middle East within 60 days. That time frame is close enough to June. It could be a coincidence or not. Either way, if you reload, it might be worth it to pick up an extra pound or 2 of powder. I think one of the things that's exacerbating the air quote ammunition shortage, forgetting the devaluation of the U.S. dollar, forgetting the Obama era attack on lead and lead producers through the EPA, forgetting the ATF and Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, saying that basically people like us are domestic terrorists. His words, not mine. The Army, oh, and then there are people in Congress who have been petitioning that since Lake City is it's a private company that's supported and has been renovated through federal contracts and federal funds. Therefore, it shouldn't be producing ammunition for the civilian market, which is where they get the term military grade ammunition. It's 5.56, bro. Like, we're not talking about like 20 millimeter. It's 5.56. But anyway, so there have been attempts to get Lake City to not sell ammunition onto the civilian market. The Army adopted the M5, or is in the process of adopting the M5. And that takes the 6.8 by 51 millimeter that nobody has. Okay? Nobody has that because it's a new cartridge. And there's two different types of cartridge. There's the relatively low pressure, 55 to 60,000 PSI brass cased, air quote, training ammunition in 6.8 by 51 millimeter that nobody has. And then there's the high pressure 85 to 90,000 psi stainless steel rimmed brass deployment ammunition, warfighting ammunition for the SIG XM5, soon to be M5 question mark. Well, nobody has an ammunition. And so when the Army buys 100,000 of those rifles, and let's say they decide we need 10,000 rounds of ammunition for each rifle, congratulations, we're now in the billions of rounds that nobody has. So what are they going to do? They're going to buy as much ammunition as they can. And so that's going to increase demand, right? And production lines that we're making 5.56, 9 millimeters, 7.62 by 51, etc., are going to pivot to make 6.8 by 51 millimeter. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but I do think it's definitely a contribution, a contributing reason as to why, ammunition is getting harder to find. Yeah, because they're making a bunch of ammunition that's not for us, that's for the Army, and that will, at this point, not benefit us at all. And they're also not doing away with the M4 form. And you might not know this, but there's a war in Ukraine right now. What's up, Magic Prepper? I want it for us. I know you do, bro. You like super duper into AR-10s lately, I've noticed. All kinds of things, guns in general. And it's fine. You play your heart. Play to your heart's content, homie. But firearms are not the be-all, end-all. Should you have them and know how to use them? 100%. Should you have homies that have them and know how to use them? 100%. Do they matter more than my ability to make food appear out of the ground? I don't think they do. And if you live in a place where they do matter more than your ability to make food come out of the ground, then you probably live in the wrong place. Because getting into a gunfight as part of my SHTF survival plan is probably not a good survival plan, because bullets go both ways, and the likelihood that you and your crew come out completely unscathed is statistically zero. So, but I digress. Yes, I know that AR-10 is 308. Somebody put in the chat, but 308 7.62 by 51 millimeter NATO. Okay, the SIG 277 Fury round is 6.8 by 51 millimeter NATO. Same magazines, same bolt carrier group, bolt face, just different barrel and chamber. Okay? Okay. Ish. Well, SIG is using a trunnion. It doesn't matter. We're not getting into the weeds on that one. My point is, billions of rounds are being produced for the 6.8, and the M4 is still in service, and there's a little war going on in Ukraine that's being supported by NATO, which is us. So what kind of ammunition are they using? 5.56. To a lesser extent, 7.62 by 51 for their small arms. There's a little war going on in Israel, Hamas. What kind of ammunition resolution are they using? 556, to a lesser extent, 762 by 51. And then there's probably going to be a significantly sized ward in South China Sea area-ish. And what do all of our allies use? Because NATO standardization, why is it called 556 NATO, 762 NATO? Because NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, standardized on 5.56 by 45 millimeter and 762 by 51 millimeter. So that's why I see a lot of people, that's why I see a lot of the shortage happening. Because, yeah, it's the same reason, like, well, tourniquets are getting harder to find. No shit. People are getting shot, stabbed, blown up at a higher rate than they have been previously. It's supply and demand. Simple as that. Then you add in input costs to supply and demand. Input costs have gone way up. The value of the dollar has gone way down. Of course, things are going to be more expensive. You know, prior to COVID, Refuge Medical was capable of operating with an economy of scale. You buy one piece of gauze, it's $5. You buy 10 pieces of gauze, it's $4. You buy 100 pieces of gauze, it's $3. You buy 1,000 pieces of gauze, it's $2. And that's what we would do. We buy 1,000 pieces of gauze, $2 a piece. Is selling at retail, $5 a piece, onesies, twosies, put them in kits. That's a business model. That's how you make money. Well, that's unfair. Then you go buy 1,000 pieces of gauze and sell them to your homies. Okay? I put my own money into this. I operate this business with my own money.
Imagine if you went on Shark Tank, the markup they would tell you to do.
100%. They'd be like, oh, you spent $2 on that piece of gauze, you got to sell it for $14.95.
Yep.
Right? And so you could do that prior to COVID because there was an economy of scale. Guess what? There's no economy of scale anymore. You want 1,000 pieces of gauze? They're $5 a piece. Simple as that. Simple as that. So, like, we had to shift our entire business model. We operate on a realized profit margin of 5 to 10%. And then it's just producing enough volume to keep the lights on. That's it. Because the economy of scale is gone. Because the demand is so high and the supply has shrunk. Same thing with ammunition. So, let's see. My friend is a Marine. He's in a Marine unit that is tasked to build a floating dock off the coast of Gaza. The U.S. is lying about boots on the ground in Gaza because he was also told in his briefing that they will also be building the causeway into Gaza. That requires them to be on land. They will not be taking their rifles. The IDF will supply them with weapons. They will have no U.S. security forces to protect them, only the IDF. They were also told that if an IDF unit is under fire, the IDF security force tasked to protect them will leave to back up their other units, and they will be on their own. After this was said in the briefing, they asked what the rules of engagement were. The response they got was, you do not under any circumstances return fire. You retreat back to the floating dock by the boat. Please pray for my friend in his unit. He needs to come back home to his wife and daughters. That sounds a little jacked up. Yeah, but I do not approve those ROEs. Next, it'll be hard to keep this short because I have so much experience with this and on my 22nd year in emergency medicine, but here it goes. And yeah, this there's some meat here, so I'm gonna read it. 1. The law enforcement officer's account of mental health setup in Virginia is correct and is the same in Ohio. Watch what you say or threaten in the heat of a moment. Words matter because 80% of successful suicides presented to a medical professional within 24 hours of the event. They are then required by law to set things in motion, law enforcement or medical. Once the person is presented to the ER, the pink slip is upheld. This is in reference to what we talked about last Friday about people having their firearms confiscated because for mental health reasons because of words that they said, okay? They are then required by law to set things in motion, law enforcement or medical. Once the person is presented to the ER, the pink slip is upheld until the ER doctor and the psychiatrist or social workers deem the person's needs admitted. Some are not. I'd say at least 75% are. You're not always labeled delinquent after admission, but it can happen. 2, the mental health system isn't broken, it's non-existent. This is basically what we have. The ER is like the screen at the bottom of the drain. We catch everything no one wants. I can swing a cat around by the tail and hit 18 specialty services for every other health but mental health. The government is freeing up money to incite medical professionals to become mental health in the form of better compensation and debt forgiveness, but the resources and facilities are lacking or non-existent. 3. These days, there are 2 categories I lump people into, and this is with a broad brush. But there is A, people with behavioral issues and or substance abuse problems, usually hand in hand, or B, people who without a certain chemical in their body do not live on the same planet as we do. The ER doesn't have the resources most of the time to deal with this demand, and neither does inpatient care. This goes back to population density. What happens if we have a significant interruption in supply chain for whatever reason? CME, Carrington event, nuclear war, high altitude, EMP pops, another ship smashes into a bridge, blah, 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 snowstorm, insert thing here. And all the people who don't live on the same planet as us, unless they're medicated, can't get their meds. And you're surrounded by 10,000 people, 100,000 people, a million people, several million people. Not good. Not good. Not good. 1, what can we do? The government solution, of course, is throw money at it, make mental health more profitable, and they will come. Problem is, thanks to Obamacare, most people are on government-assisted health care, and they will reimburse about 35% of the actual costs. Most chronic mental health patients are 50-50 if insurance is even in the picture. Mental health will not change or become more profitable, capitalism, until we change the healthcare system based on outcomes instead of satisfaction. 2, stop using law enforcement officers to solve all your problems. Engage yourself and your family and do not abandon people. Pull on the resources given and find a way no matter what to make it better, but the police aren't your parents, enforcers, or social workers. 3, like Bear says, love your neighbor as yourself. The real solution is grassroots and the man or woman in the mirror. Start with yourself, your family, your neighborhood, and move outward. The government won't or can't solve it. The mental health system is a reflection of our government. I could go on this subject, and the soft white underbelly of mental health is a shit show. It makes me mad, sad, and I want to quit some days. There is help. You aren't alone. Talk to somebody. No one is coming, and even if change happens, it will be slow. Mental health is health, just like any other problem. Let's be part of the solution. I've got a few more things to read to y'all, but before I do that, I'm going to go piss over here because I can. Those aren't gunshots, that's somebody swinging a hammer.
I was listening for the crack. That seems very dangerous. I've thought about it a few times.
Pissing by the electric fence?
Yeah, pissing by the electric fence seems like a really big gamble.
It's fine. It's only 11,000 volts.
Maybe that'll wake you up.
It's gonna be really weird when I pass out from the pain.
Like, oh no!
My pants unzipped and my hand out and my dangly bits exposed.
And when you can talk again, Dudley, help me. How? Get a blanket?
Quick, hurry, zip up my fly. I bet you on YouTube, you could let's just say I identified as like an LMNOP, right? I bet you it'd be perfectly fine on a live stream to whip your junk out and they'd be fine with it.
Of course, that plus if someone is standing in the background wearing a medical coat.
Oh yeah, if you had a lab coat on, that'd totally be fine. But if you were to whip out like your pistol on a live stream, you get a channel strike that fast. But I identify as a glockosexual, so it should be fine.
Nice.
Right? It's a new, speaking of mental health. Next. So, I work at a hospital in Pennsylvania. I manage our emergency generators and other mechanical systems. That being said, we have a National Guard base not too terribly far away. I was recently told about how the base wanted to test run to deliver fuel to us in case of emergency to keep the hospital online as much as possible. From my understanding, they will be using a Chinook CH-47 heavy lift helicopter to get it to us. Her code we are supposed to have fuel for 96 hours of running time, but that contingency plan can include fuel deliveries. Okay. So they're probably bringing you fuel bladders. Depending on the model of the CH-47, I think it can lift somewhere between 9,000 and 16,000 pounds. And a lot of them that I'm aware of, because we use them in the power construction industry, a lot of them were in the 15,000 pound range. So you're looking at, 1,000 gallon fuel bladder ish. Should be able to drop to you, but then you got to get hooked up, or they're going to lower barrels or tanks, or like what are they doing? Next, regarding the avian to bovine flu transfer, the company I work for has multiple large-scale dairy facilities and have recently received permits from the DNR, Department of Natural Resources of Ohio, to shoot geese in the vicinity of the farms to prevent this flu transfer. And it's so cool that you got permission from the government to shoot a goose. Oh, well, what kind of geese? Are they Canada geese? Because now you need a federal permit for, what do they call those? Waterfowl? A federal waterfowl permit to hunt the Canada goose? It's like, bitch, this thing's in my airspace. It's dead. Well, that's illegal. Okay. Show up with a warrant and we'll have a conversation. You just can't shoot the little goose. You're not allowed to do that. I'm not allowed to what? I'm not allowed to what? Let's go back to the United States Constitution, please and thank you. Show me in here where it says you have the permission to tell me what I can and can't shoot on my own property. I live in Oklahoma. I could shoot people trespassing. Like, straight up.
Also, they have to prove that it's that hole or multiple holes in it is not just dog bites.
Got it. So we mount a couple of 12 gauges to the back of Sam, put a GoPro on him. Be like, my dog killed it. What are you going to do, arrest him?
Dogs don't need gun permits.
Yeah, my dog's a sovereign citizen, so he's fine. He actually doesn't care about anything. Okay, so the government said you're allowed to shoot geese in the vicinity of the farms to prevent the flu transfer. We have not had any issues I have heard of here yet, just confirming that preventative measure, at least from our DNR, is at work. Okay. And this one is super interesting. I've been hearing a lot of chatter about this. Senate Bill 727, which has passed the Missouri Senate and is going to the House of Representatives. If you homeschool, they want to legally redefine your home as a school, and this was slipped on in an amendment clause, whatever they call it. If this bill passes, you are designated a school. If you keep firearms in your home and homeschool, you will in essence be committing a felony. I know you all aren't in Missouri, but if somehow Bear or someone else can get this out, we can flood our representatives with a no vote and let them know we won't stand for this. If they do this in Missouri, they'll do it anywhere. I got to be perfectly honest with you. Missouri has left a bad taste in my mouth for a long time. And I know there's good people in Missouri. I've met some of them. But gosh dang, do I spend an inordinate amount of time hunting pedophiles there. And I know Missouri's one of the few states that is legal. You can pay your property taxes with gold or livestock. That's cool. That's great. I like it. But then they also go and do dumb shit like this. And if they can do it in Missouri, they can do it anywhere. Maybe it's a state felony to enact any type of firearms infringement or Second Amendment violation in the state of Oklahoma, punishable by 10 years in state penitentiary. For any badged law enforcement officer or any federal officer in the state of Oklahoma to enact a policy or a law that conflicts with the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America. So maybe. And does Oklahoma have its problems? Sure does, but things like that, less so. Also, the eastern half of the state of Oklahoma is a reservation. Federally, it's a reservation. So we have like 4 laws here, and nobody gives a shit if you break even one of those 4 laws. And especially, and I'm not saying you should, but especially out in the country, like you got to get your house broken into 3 times in 1 week in order to get the sheriffs to come out and make a report. Is that ideal? No, it's far from ideal. But it also means if somebody's trying to break into your house and you put a 3-inch Magnum double aught buckshot into their chest, nobody cares. Nope, literally nobody cares. Like, well, boy, shouldn't have been trespassing. 100%.
Do you have heavy equipment to bury him, or do we need to send a truck?
Yeah, for sure. For actual, some of these conversations have been had. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. There was a guy in southeastern Oklahoma that 3 guys cut his fence and backed a semi livestock trailer through the hole in the fence and were rustling some of his cattle because Oklahoma is in many ways still the Wild West. People make money from cattle here, okay? And these 3 guys were running his cattle into the back of this livestock trailer. Well, he happened to be out on horseback, like an actual cowboy, checking his fence line, comes up over a hill and sees these 3 guys doing this. He had a bolt action 30-06 on his horse, on his saddle. Great horse, stops the horse from 400 yards away, shoots the first guy dead from horseback. Changes another round. The other 2 guys go off to running. He catches 1 guy through the side and the 3rd guy through the back. Rides down, stows the weapon, rides down, gets his cattle off of the trailer, pulls the trailer out of his fence, fixes the fence, gets back on his horse, rides back up to the house where he picks up the landline, calls the county sheriff. The county sheriff comes out, takes a look, and goes, "So, sir, all right, well, you have a good day. We'll get somebody out here to clean up these bodies." And that was it.
Did he get to keep the truck?
I don't know. I don't know that part of that story. But where my dad lived, when my dad was still alive, that guy was one of his neighbors. And so it's not a legend. It's not it happened. Know the guy. So that's just a little taste of southeastern Oklahoma for you. As far as Missouri and classifying homeschools as schools, that's some sneaky bullshit. And you guys should absolutely get a hold of your state representatives and let them know that's some sneaky bullshit and we're not for it. But just because it can happen in Missouri does not necessarily mean it could happen anywhere else, is the point that I'm making. And that's the beauty of our United States of America. If the 10th Amendment is observed the way it's supposed to, and if the remainder of the amendments are observed the way it's supposed to, we really should have like 50 different small countries where the will of the people creates a different operating environment in each one of these states. That's the way it's supposed to be. It doesn't necessarily work out that way due to federal influence and influence of other, like Soros, etc. But that's the way it's supposed to be. All right, and last week I was walking through the hospital that I transport to with some regularity in northern Arizona. As I walked past the doctor's report room, I overheard some raised voices, excited utterance about another effing measles rule out. The other docs were just as upset, saying that this was the second one that morning. 2 days later, we found the attached sign on the emergency services entrance and then on the front door too. In my opinion, we are suffering the consequences of the completely open borders and the escorting of people from places that haven't eradicated. Hear me. I'm not worried about or scared of a measles epidemic. This is just the suffering we will continue to be subjected to as long as our government continues governing. And that is the brief for today. If we've talked a little bit about mental health today, if you're not in a great place, please talk to somebody about it. Please do not. Hello, am I back?
I'm not even connected to the Wi-Fi to be pulling anything.
Are we still doing this thing? Are we here now? They're mad about the value exchange. What's up, Magic Prepper? Glock 316, 5x5. All right, we're back. R. Heath. I agree, R. Heath. Everyone can't live in Oklahoma, nor would you want everyone to, so it's important to fix this in other states. I agree completely. I'm not saying you should move here. In fact, we're full. Don't come to Oklahoma. Shalom, Sam off grid. But you could make where you live maybe a little bit more like where I live. That would be ideal, I think. And you know where you live, you probably got some good ideas too, and maybe we could onboard that here. But I digress. Do not self-delete. 988. Talk to a friend, talk to a brother, talk to a pastor, talk to somebody. Please do not take yourself out of the fight. That is a tool of the enemy, and you should not succumb to the tools of the enemy. So please reach out and talk to somebody if you need to. Hell, if you don't feel that good, you can come here and kill roosters for me. That'd be fine. You just got to shoot something. Come shoot these roosters. Bear Independent swag, you can get that at bearindependent.com. There's a link in the description to all the things I'm talking about here. T-shirts, coffee mugs, hats, patches, stickers, etc. That's helping us pay for the new house that we're building. So we appreciate y'all very much so. We've got at refugemedical.com. We've got a number of things that are in stock. What am I currently wearing on me? Let's see here. I got this thing right here. It's the ankle kit. It's in stock from Refuge Medical. Spicy Snafu. Just did a compare contrast between this one and the Warrior Poet Society ankle kit. I won't ruin the video as to who won, but I'll just say that we won. So this one here, you can get this at refugemedical.com. Your promo code is BearNation for free shipping, and a lot of stuff is in stock and shipping fast. Bear Facts are in stock. There's been a lot of people waiting for Bear Facts to come back in stock again. We've got Bear Facts in stock, Bear Minimums, bleeding prevention kits, the adventure kit, wound care buckets, postpartum buckets. What else do we got? Oh, look at that. I know what that is. A little difficult to get at sitting in this chair, by the way. Well, if you need a cat tourniquet, we got cat tourniquets right here. Yeah, you can get these from the store. What else? Oh, how about the first ever slick kit. Sexy legs and khakis kit. These shorts are the reason I came up with this kit right here. The khaki dad shorts right here. Thin. Fits in a cargo pocket of your shorts or your pants. Fits in the back pocket of your jeans. You combine this with a tourniquet, you got a blowout kit right here. So it's got 2 chest seals, Z-fold combat gauze, a pair of gloves, a 4-inch flat emergency trauma dressing, and flat duct tape. All right here. Super thin. Reasonably priced. And everything else at refugemedical.com. I think right now, if you spend $199 or more, you get entered in to win like a $10,000 value night vision giveaway, which is super cool. This same night vision that I have from Nightfall Optics, LLUL 21s, Gen 3 dual tube white phosphor. They're awesome. And a Hardhead Veterans helmet, bump helmet, and a mount, and the new Refuge kit, which we're not allowed to talk about yet, is included in that giveaway as well. You're automatically entered for $199 or more. So that's a good pack for BDUs. Yeah, it is. The slick kit, it's great. It's a great little kit. So also for like law enforcement officers, anybody that's got limited space on them. The cool thing about the slick is it's a really good EDC kit, right? So I have it on me. It's there. I don't have to think about it. It's not taking up a bunch of space. It doesn't weigh a bunch. It doesn't cost a ton of money. It's just there. I have it if I need it. So that's refugemedical.com. Your promo code is Bear Nation for free shipping. The store will close at sundown today because it's Friday. And then it will reopen at sundown tomorrow because 6 days ye shall labor. The seventh is the Sabbath of rest unto Yahweh your Elohim, the Lord your God. So, encouraging community. Bear, what's the tried and true way to tenderize my meat birds more? Have you hit them with a baseball bat? Pressure canning, or put them in a crock pot, or whatever. When they get meat birds, typically are slaughtered between 12 and 16 weeks, depending on the breed. Maybe 18 weeks if you're running some Freedom Rangers or something like that. But if you're eating your meat birds at 2 years old, yeah, they're gonna be a little bit tougher. So, like, same thing with roosters around here. When I kill a rooster and we eat it, they're tough. So you put them in a pressure canner, or you make soup with them, or low and slow kind of thing. You want tender chicken breasts like what you get from the store? Yeah, that's gonna be a Cornish cross that's butchered at 12 to 14 weeks. So. Oh my gosh, Akiata Skurata. Bear, if I have fun gardening and I find it relaxing, is it wrong to garden on the Sabbath? Technically, as long as you're not getting paid or paying anybody else to do it on Shabbat, it's not work, okay? JC Fixer, I love you back. But that rule, see, I have found myself in a position like yours. Like, well, this isn't technically work. It's fine to do on Shabbat, right? And then I start doing it, and it's the rule of ugh. If at any point you go, stop. Because, and here's the thing, right? But I like gardening. Well, how much does it matter what I like on Yah's day? Because it's his day. And because he loves us, what does he tell us to do? To rest, to fellowship, to read his word. Those are easy things, bro. Like super easy things. Now, can you go out in the garden and play around a little bit and have the Torah portion on in the background or some worship music? Or sure. But if anything is taking you away from your focus on your Heavenly Father on that day, then it's infringing upon Shabbat. So I would look at it as, is this bringing me closer to the Father or moving me further away from Him? And especially on Shabbat, but on every day, we want to be moving closer towards Him through our actions, through what we do, what we say, what we read, what we think, what we speak, what we listen to. We want to be moving closer to Him, not further away from Him. So that's the rule for me. Okay? Death to the wage slave. Waiting on my SOB to arrive. Let Mike know I said thank you again. I will. Thanks, Mike. All right. Let's see. What else? Grindstone Ministries. If you need a copy of the scriptures, you can buy them at our cost at grindstoneministries.com. Link in the description. Or if you can't afford one for whatever reason, you just contact us through that website. And we will send you one for free. Super cool. And Caleb House, Caleb with a K, calebhouse.org. You guys and girls know what we do at Caleb House. You know by now. You know what the drill is. We are building Caleb House. It is our restoration facility for juvenile human trafficking survivors. And if you want to plug into that, you can. calebhouse.org. Or there's links in the description for our brother Rex's and our brother Saw's shirts from Sanctified Supply Co., a portion of the proceeds of which go to support Caleb House. You can buy Moose Run Coffee, a portion of the proceeds of which go to support Caleb House. Simple as that. And if the Spirit convicts you, great. And if the Spirit doesn't convict you, great. Go support somebody else. But I can, and I don't mean that like an a-hole, like legitimately, go support somebody else. But we are one of a very few groups of people in the anti-human trafficking space that are actually doing stuff, not just talking about it. We're actually doing stuff. Bear, do you have any specific scripture to help those who are or may be struggling? Yeah. I can tell you this, it's um, probably not the scripture you're expecting. We could go to Romans. The Father makes all things work together for his good. Yeah, 100%. But to the extent I have a life verse, my life verse is Exodus 15, verse 3. Yahweh is a warrior, Yahweh is his name. That sums it all up for me. You are fearfully and wonderfully created in his image for his purpose, for his will. You're not accidental. He didn't make too many people. He does have a plan for you. He does need you to participate in that plan. And the enemy doesn't want you to. And that's why you feel locked in a cosmic battle, because you're stuck in between these cosmic tidal forces of good and evil, waging a war for your soul so that you will be demoralized and not participate in the Father's will. And that's hard. Yeah, comma, Yahweh is a warrior. He can handle it. And so can you, because you're fearfully and wonderfully created in his image. And the other thing, I'll tell you this, too many people give the enemy way too much credit. Way too much credit. I was talking about this on Patreon last night. There's this big C Christian church idea that Jesus and Satan are locked in this epic battle, and it's just ongoing forever. Like, no, that's blasphemy. The enemy has dominion over the world for a time to serve the function of sifting and separating the Father's people, to see who really wants to be here and who's just playing. So that's why, my brothers, count it all joy when you fall into various trials. James, right? For the proving of your belief. You either believe or you don't. But Messiah outranks the enemy significantly. That's why you can banish the enemy in his name, and his demons, his minions in his name. Because if you were to look at the org chart for the Creator, like there's Elohim, Father Yah, and a facet of him is Messiah. They are one, Echad, Deuteronomy 6, verse 4. That's the creative force that made everything, including you in this world, that you find in John chapter 1, the Gospel of John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and not a thing was made that was made without the Word. Copy. Yeshua is the Word made flesh. Copy. The creative life force behind everything was Yeshua. And the Father spoke this into existence. Okay? One of the things that was created were angels. And some of those angels were assholes. And they fell. They left the dominion of the heavens to come to earth. And so when these evil angels, these evil spirits, these bad things come against you, you have this big C Christian concept of good and evil locked in this epic battle, and they're both just struggling against each other. It's bullshit. It's blasphemy. Yeshua outranks all of them in the org chart by like at least 3 levels. It's not even a thing. What I was talking about on Patreon last night is, on a clear, dark night, you can see a single candle flame from 5 miles away. The light shines into the darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not. Okay? From 5 miles away, you can see a single candle flame. The candle does not give a shit about all the darkness all around it. Its job is to be a candle. Simple as that. And how much brighter is your light? Right? The apostle Jacob, James, Yeshua's blood brother. The demons hear his name and tremble. Tremble, because they know. Right? And I used this analogy last night. If you're on a job site as a journeyman electrician, and the vice president of national operations shows up on your job site, Who outranks who? If the vice president of national operations says you will do this way, it doesn't matter what the journeyman thinks or doesn't think. He trembles. And it's either, yes, sir, or he is removed, banished, excommunicated from this job site. Because the vice president of national operations significantly outranks the journeyman electrician on the job site. Okay? So don't give the bad stuff too much credit. You work for Elohim, you are covered by the blood of the Son. And is it hard? Yeah. Can we overcome? Yeah, 100%. That fast. That fast. The light shines into the darkness, not the other way around. Okay? And Yah is a warrior, and you are fearfully and wonderfully created in his image. You are built for adversity. There's a proverb for this. A friend is there in good times and bad, but a brother is built for adversity. The reason brothers exist is for the battle. That's why we're here, is for the battle. You should get excited when you put on the full armor of God, because we fight not against flesh and blood, but against nations and principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. Dude, you should have a little bit of the pre-performance jitters, like, dude, let's go. We're built for adversity. That's what we're for. Not to be some bump on the log. Not to be a pussy. We're built for adversity. So if the world's kicking your ass, call in reinforcements. Lean on the national vice president of operations. Okay? Because he outranks the journeyman. If the journeyman's giving you a hard time on your job site, kick him off your job site. Speaking of which, let's pray. Oh, good morning, Father Yah. Father, thank you for the opportunity to speak your word to these people. Father, thanks for letting us wake up today.
Oh, no.
I wonder how long we've been disconnected for. It don't matter, does it? That's okay. KKRN says, whatever bear prayed, amen. Yeah, amen. That's all right. It's okay. There's better things to be upset about than you two, right? Y'all have a blessed day. I gotta do bear things. See y'all when I see y'all. Shalom.